Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Tuesday night episode of The Indoctrination. I am David Snedeker, and it's great to be with you all during this really momentous time of human history. And we should, is frustrating as it might be, as difficult as it may be for so many, going through so much difficulty, family, friends, lost ones, no longer to be seen again. It's been a difficult journey. But what we're doing, and I believe this wholeheartedly, and this, wakes me up every morning, is the beauty of this earth, the beauty of humanity, the beauty of family, friends, associates, coworkers, audience members, people that strangers that come into our life and make it special, make things special. There's so much to be in gratitude for in this world, and I believe that what we're witnessing right now, despite all the craziness, I do believe in my heart that we are overturning a very, very long human history of oppression, of slavery, of ignorance, of deceit, manipulation. And everything I do here is my mission is to counteract all of that. And just like, if I was helping you, fix your car, I would want to be a good resource for you. And therefore, I would not do it myself. I would refer, unless it was something very simple. I've worked on, my own cars, but I would not be the expert. I would not recommend that I do the work. I would recommend you to somebody that I trust to do the work. And in this world that we're living in right now, we're finding fewer and fewer people that we can actually trust to have that kind of honesty that would supersede the ego that one might engage with and pretend to know more than they do. And I think that one of my strengths on this platform, on these many platforms and the platforms I've lost over the years, so many, is to let you know what I know and what I don't know. And also what I know as a fact and what I believe as speculation. I am not, I've slayed my dragons in my lifetime. Business, basketball, movies. And so I don't seek this platform for my ego. I seek this platform as a service, as a sacrifice for this great awakening of humanity that I believe is unlike any other time in human history. And you will have those who don't believe that believe that we are just being handled by more savvy individuals or more deceitful individuals. And I don't believe that to be true, because I have studied the 4,966 Q drops. I have studied the answers of the Anons of the Socratic questions that came from Q. I have studied Donald Trump. I have studied the administration. I have seen the decisions that have been made. I've seen the good players. I've seen the bad players, and through all of that, in my almost 19 years of being awake, or beginning, I should say, my awakening, it is a constant, ongoing battle of, finding things that I didn't know about and sharing them with you, and you doing the same, which really strengthens this show even more, because many of the things that I am exposed to, you are sharing with me because you're out there looking for answers as well. That is the strength of the collective, of the collective hive mind of truth. And I believe that you'll see that here more than maybe anywhere else on the internet, albeit many I do not know about, but certainly the ones that I am aware of, the ones that I see every day on X, on Rumble, I seem to often find a chink in the armor, if you will, of possibly a alternative, um, an alternative agenda, alternative from the truth. And because I am so focused on finding the truth, you are so focused on finding the truth, it makes it easier to pinpoint those who stray from the truth as if they know it all, versus a possible stray from the truth out of mistake or out of misinformation, which should be pretty quickly corrected if you're watching somebody with integrity. The problem is that most of the people that turn lights on, turn a camera on, turn a microphone on, many do it not out of a mission of a role in the revolution that we're experiencing right now, but as a business, as an opportunity. They are opportunists looking for money, fame, power. And the minute you see that, the minute it makes it a lot easier to differentiate from those who are and have been committed to this revolution for a very, very long time. When I was, I guess it was 2017, and my friend told me about an anonymous posting on 4chan the day before. And I went on and I saw the day before's post and I saw the next day's post. I was emboldened, because many of us, for many years, that had been awake many years prior to Q, prior to Donald John Trump running for president, really had difficulty imagining our way out of the indoctrination, finding a way out of the matrix. And so when we heard the words of Hillary Clinton being indicted and arrested, and Huma and Podesta, our curiosity certainly was piqued, because this seemed to come from someone's that had knowledge and the ability to turn that knowledge into justice. These are arrests that many of us have been waiting for a long time, these indictments. And I remember a long time ago, I was given a saying because I was struggling with launching a company that I was working on. And somebody handed me something and it said, God's delays are not God's denials. And I've never forgotten that. And I've come to understand that rarely does God perform on our schedule, on our wishes, on our intention. But rather, we are forced into patience, either the easy way of surrendering certain aspects of things that we can't control, and the hard way, where we are fighting, fighting, fighting for something, and we are faced with the frustration that comes along with that when it does not appear on our timeline. So, what we are witnessing is people who have abandoned the very plan, the very operation that we have come to believe in, which could not happen without us. And this is why we have been included in the huddle. And I've talked about this analogy many times where in a basketball game, the only people in the huddle are the coaches, the players, the managers. That's it. The cheerleaders, even though they're rooting for us, aren't in the huddle. Our parents that are rooting for us aren't in the huddle. Our family, our friends, the scorekeeper, the principal of the school or the dean of the college, they're not in the huddle. As important in the whole scheme of things as they are in terms of support and, bringing us to that point where we could be in that huddle and have the opportunity to change the outcome of the game. Trump have included you and I in this huddle, but many don't trust the huddle anymore. And so they don't peek their head in the huddle. And what I try to do here day in and day out on this show is to show you the plays that they're giving us, to show you the communications and let you hear the communications that they're giving to us. Because this revolution, it's not about sitting back and eating popcorn. It never was. Q said, sit back and enjoy the show one time out of 100 mentions of enjoy the show. Q only said, sit back and enjoy once. Everything else was research, research, research. Awaken yourself, awaken your friends, your family, awaken whoever you can. And for those who don't awaken in a timely manner, in a gradual and meaningful and organic matter, Q has told us are going to have a very, very difficult time at the end. And that's also why we're here, so that we can help those who have come along believing in the lies that have been used to control man for centuries. And they're going to be the ones that have the most difficult time. And I'm here to say that we need them going forward. We need as many of them as possible, because somebody's got to make our coffee. If we go out to a coffee shop, somebody has got to drive the bus that goes from the parking lot to the airport when we're flying. Somebody's got to be on that flight, keeping us safe, the pilots, the flight attendants. And there are people in roles all throughout society that are not necessarily of open mind. They are not privy to the information that you and I have done hours and hours, countless for many of us, of research, so that we might really understand how this world works and how for so long we've been deceived by so many. So we're going to need these people going forward, and we can't have them, curled up sucking their thumb under their living room, coffee table. We have to have them engaged in society. And I believe that is why Q and Q Plus have included us in this huddle since October 28th, 2017. We recently saw the anniversary, the 8th anniversary of Q on October 28th. And we are seeing 11/3 come and go with one of the premier elements of the deep state, Dick Cheney, having passed on 11/3 that we just found out about today. I believe at the age of 84 from heart complications. Cheers, everybody. Welcome. Please come on in to the Sned Shed. Check your coat. Imagine it's really cold outside. You get a big, heavy winter coat. Imagine all your preconceived notions, unconscious bias, your indoctrination, your brainwashing, all the things that have been dumped on you your entire life. Imagine that wrapped up in that coat, and just check your coat at the coat check. Grab a claim ticket. It's safe there. No one's going to touch it. Grab a snack, grab a drink, grab your favorite person, your favorite pet, your favorite you. And I mean your favorite you, by the way, because you have a favorite you. And the world tries to talk you out of that favorite you. But that favorite you is very real. It's very solid. It's very loving. It's very powerful. So here's to you. Cheers. Let's have a great show together. So we've been included in this huddle. I'm honored to have been included in this huddle because never before in human history have we been included in the information that the deep state has used to control us, that the cabal has used to control us. And yet, every day we're privy to seeing this system of manipulation, the system of control being systematically absolutely dismembered. The mainstream media crashing, losing credibility every single step of the way. The banking, the Federal Reserve, losing money with tax on tips, tax on overtime, Social Security, and Trump talking about doing away with the IRS, with the External Revenue Service, with the tariffs. Tomorrow is a Supreme Court decision on tariffs. This is going to be very interesting because if what people need to understand is the reason that Trump stopped 8 wars, and you could say, oh, he didn't stop this one or he didn't stop that one. The bottom line is nobody is working harder to make sure more people are not killed, with the exception Israel, Gaza. Okay. On that point, if I didn't know Q, if I didn't understand the complexity of Israel, I would say he failed at that one because of the sheer number of deaths that occurred with primarily the Palestinians. But we have been told that we're saving Israel for last. And when you realize and when you watch, and remember, I've been saying, I've been posting, Moonbeam was sharing my posts with asking Elon Musk, it's like, what are all these Democrats and these pro-Israel accounts doing in my feed? What do I pay X for if you're going to throw this crap in front of me? And I've complained that about a couple times, and I know a lot of other people have complained as well because Elon has been working supposedly on the algorithm to better give us better feeds, more ones that I actually follow rather than Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and then all the Israel apologists, Tatum and Mark Levin, and all these. There's so many of those. I can't even list them off here. But then I got to thinking, when you look at a Gavin Newsom post and you see all the people that are just crushing him, and when you look at an Officer Tatum post and you see the people that are absolutely crushing him, I want more of that in my feed now, because people like you and I need to see those posts on a daily basis so that we can respond to them and destroy them with facts, with history, with results. And that may not be happening if those weren't thrust in front of us. So if this is a white hat operation, it's absolutely genius, because look at the tide turning on Israel. Would it be happening if not for the Charlie Kirk event? Would it be happening if not so glaring a reality of those who are being paid to post for Israel versus those who have no ties to Israel? By the way, this is not a pro-Muslim stance. I am obviously very concerned when a socialist Muslim is being. I didn't even check the New York numbers. Anybody got any results on the New York mayoral race? Yeah, Whip and Spur, repost the shit out of these idiots. Absolutely, because it's just they're getting ratioed, they're getting crushed, and it's waking people up, because people are calling them out for getting paid to post such information. And what I'm here to tell you is that Operation Mockingbird, revealed in 1975 under oath, William Colby stating they had 400 CIA assets in mainstream media. 1975. Which means they were being paid by the CIA. Where does the CIA get its money? You and me. You and I, our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, aunts, our tax dollars going to fund the government, fund the CIA, and then that money is being used to come back to us and put Walter Cronkite on the air to tell us that JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. A lone gunman with a bolt action rifle, a poor shot. Sound familiar? We're still getting that now. But now that disinformation has spilled over into the alternative media. Why? Because anybody that is believing, and I don't believe the Trump administration and Cash and Bondi and all them, I don't believe they believe it for a second that Tyler Robinson is guilty of assassinating Charlie Kirk. They know things we do not. And President Trump just today on Air Force One said, somebody asked him about Venezuela. Are you going to attack Venezuela? He's like, why would you ask me that? Why would I tell you if we were going to do something like that? That's just ridiculous. It's the same thing. Why would Kash Patel tell us what's going on? Why would they tell us? This is an operation. It is a covert operation that is a need to know only. And Joe Kent didn't know from the Office of DNI, which is why he was still investigating different methods, and they had to put a squash on that. And my friends, in my opinion, and again, this is just speculation. This isn't something factual. But in my opinion, what it's not because they're trying to protect Israel. It's because they need to protect that direction of the investigation towards exposing Antifa and BLM and the trans movement and all that are funding these anti-American value, anti-American society, um, insurgents. They need to go in that direction. And the other direction that they're going to go is, I believe, Israel, but it's not time yet. I think Soros is going down first, and then the Rothschilds, which is responsible for the state of Israel. So, but this is a covert operation that only certain people have been read in on. And now I think Joe Kent has been read in on it. Was that somebody else killed him? Or was that, well, if they're going to lie about part of it, why not lie about all of it? Is what I've always said. So if they're lying about Tyler Robinson, why wouldn't they just lie about the whole thing and how it happened and how, I've told you, I've made, gunshots look real in film as a whatever role I had on that film, watching the special effects person masterfully ready such an event for lights, camera, 35 millimeter film, Zeiss lenses, bright lights, and it looks real. Okay. And it's so easy to do if you know what you're doing. Yet that's not even an option for many of these people. Why? Well, they're either controlled or they refuse to continue to ask questions that haven't been answered. And if there's one thing I think we're learning from the Charlie Kirk event is to start following the people that are still asking questions about that and still demanding answers. Rather than like, well, Tyler Robinson, trans activist, furry, whatever I think Shapiro called him. Shapiro's done with that investigation. Tatum's done with that investigation. Levin's done with that investigation. They're okay with all that ridiculousness. Why would you listen to one more second of their whiny voices when you know that they are not seeking the truth? We are seeking the truth. And as these people who obviously are not are being exposed, we are shortening our list of who we trust, who we want to listen to, and which direction we want to look. And this exposure of Israel could never have happened without the Charlie Kirk event like it is. Could never have happened without the October 7th event and the massacre of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. This never would have happened, and yet it is. The ICC, International Criminal Court, has found Netanyahu to be a war criminal, but there's no teeth in that court, in that bite. So nothing's really going to happen. But the most important court is the court of public opinion. And look what's happening. All one has to do is glance through X for about 10 minutes, even less, and you're going to see, wow. It is a very clear delineation. Mamdani wins New York. No surprise there. The question is that a white hat operation? Because the first biggest, most capitalist city in the world, far exceeding London in terms of skyscrapers and money and Wall Street, um, far exceeding Chicago and LA and other major cities around the world. Once New Amsterdam, then by the Dutch, and then New York, it has been a bed of capitalism longer than most of us have been alive. All of us have been alive. And yet they elect a socialist. The question is, how many people in New York City voted for him and were affected very negatively by 9/11 and believe the official narrative of 9/11, that it was the Muslims, which I don't believe it was at all. I believe it was intentional to get us to look at the Muslims as a problem and go into wars in the Middle East. Mission accomplished. And one of the architects of that was Dick Cheney. He was also one of the authors of the document, Project for a New American Century, known as PNAC, that actually described flying planes into buildings in order to cause a false flag event that would lead to further control over our finances with the Patriot Act and further wars that were good for business and good for depopulation and good for control. So we've seen Q talk about 11-3 start. We've talked about Kevin Kleinsmith, which Kevin Rotello and I spoke earlier today about Kleinsmith and how, K is 11, C is 3, 11-3 start. We've talked about Charlie Kirk being Think Mirror, being 3-11 or 11-3. And the three hats of 47 being 11-3. But the 11-3 start for possibly accountability and justice, is it the date? Is it yesterday when Dick Cheney died? Was that, one of those where, some people are going to save Americans money and they're going to just exit stage right, which is what McCain did, which is what I believe George Herbert Walker Bush did, which is what I believe happened to Cheney. They don't want to stick around for what's coming. Now, of course, Bush was old. Cheney was old. McCain had brain cancer, supposedly. So these are all very organic deaths, possibly. But they could be more. And because we no longer adhere to a spoon-fed narrative, we question everything. And it's easy to get out of that habit, by the way, because you trust a source, and now this source is telling you one thing, and we get lazy and we forget to do our own research, or we forget to double check, or we just take it at face value. That's not something I'm willing to do, and that's not something I am willing to bring to you without questioning everything that we're being told. Trust the plan is something that Q has asked us to do. This is something that I have done. Despite great personal loss, that if things happened sooner, could have been avoided. And here we sit, and it's still not over. And we still have a ways to go before we really see the kind of accountability we're looking for. But every action that's being taken, almost every single action, has been foretold to us through the Q drops, the connections, the only one that was sentenced, indicted, found guilty in the Russia collusion hoax was Kevin Kleinsmith. Kevin Kleinsmith was an attorney for the FBI. Kevin Kleinsmith worked closely with Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, James Comey on Crossfire Hurricane, which was the FISA warrants to spy on candidate President Trump through Carter Page, and eventually President Trump with ongoing FISA renewals. Carter Page, the only access they had to Trump, so-called legally, was through Carter Page, which they had to show the judge that they think that he is a foreign agent for Russia. But Kleinsmith communicated with a CIA operative who confirmed that Kleinsmith was involved with giving information to the CIA. So he was involved with the CIA. And Kleinsmith changed that letter and told the judge and kept from the judge that he was CIA. That was against the law. That was a very serious offense. Kleinsmith, I think, got off with 12 months probation, and he lost his law license for 2 years in D.C. and about the same time, I think, in Michigan. But he was the only one. He was the only one in Crossfire Hurricane that was found guilty. And that takes us to $46.21, placeholder indictments tracking non-civilian set 1, Kevin Kleinsmith, KC 11-3. Placeholder indictments. He was the only one. Who was 2? Who was 3? Who was 4? Who was 5? Who was 6? Well, Q asks us to track those folks. People like Tashina Gahar, Sally Moyer, Jason Herring. Okay. Also, McCabe, Comey, Strzok, Page, Lisa Page, not Carter. So this is all very much a part of the Durham investigation. But here's the thing. Kleinsmith won't be retried on the Durham investigation. However, Kleinsmith, Strzok, and Page were also working together on the Hillary Clinton email investigation. So they could all go down for that. Okay, especially when they find that when that's released, that the recording that they have of Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on the tarmac, when supposedly they were talking about golf and their grandchildren. It was an unscheduled meeting. Q told us that there was a phone present, which means the NSA has it, which is Admiral Rogers, who is a patriot and I believe part of the Q team. And then he reclassified the document so that the deep state couldn't find it and delete it from the NSA database. So they have this information. When that comes out, and that they tried to bury that information, they tried to hide that information, they could all go down for the Hillary Clinton investigation because Loretta Lynch agreed to stop the email investigation based on a promise of a Supreme Court seat. Okay. That's a big deal. For any lawyer, the Supreme Court. For any judge, the Supreme Court. That's it. Right? There's no higher in the land. Now, why did Kleinsmith get off so easily for lying about such an important event that allowed them to spy on a presidential candidate and eventually the president of the United States? Why did he get off so easy? Who was the judge? Boasberg was the judge. You know, the same one, you know, a thorn in Trump's paw. And obviously, deep state, obviously corrupted on so many levels. So that's why we are being exposed to these judges and how they are absolutely failing us. So, yeah, without question, he's a good guy. He's the white hats, right? So, you know, there's still accountability and justice to be had. It begins with transparency. It begins with us sharing such information with others so that others can learn about the depth of this corruption that we are up against. And what we're seeing with all the comms, they're telling us that it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. James Comey, okay. Well, let me get to that. Let me see if I can put my hands on that quickly. Here it is. So Comey tried to get his indictment thrown out, but prosecutors, and I told you about that last week, but prosecutors came up with, they brought even more information in, okay? And the plan was, or the evidence is handwritten communication of Comey. And HR, I believe this is from the director of the FBI, handwritten note, HRC plan for something Trump. Let me see if I can find what that is. To tie Trump. HRC plan to tie Trump. That was James Comey's handwritten note. Okay. And so that's more information. That's the head of the FBI. And the only one convicted, Kevin Kleinsmith, only served 12 months probation, never saw the inside of a prison, was because of Judge Boasberg and his sentencing. And so, very important to know that if the deep state was in charge still, if the bad people were still in charge, why are they going after the head of the FBI under Obama? Why would they do that? Because the guy is guilty as hell. And we are going to see some amazing things coming out of this. And it's happening as we speak. And with things like New York, it might feel like, especially if you live in New York, it might feel that we're losing because a Muslim socialist is going to be the mayor of New York. And President Trump said, this is going to be the greatest thing for Republicans ever because he's going to fail. Without question, he's going to fail. It's been tried. It's been done. It's not gonna work any better this time around. Right? So this is yeah, and so and we're all gonna see that. We're all gonna watch that firsthand, but we've also had to watch what's happened in Gaza firsthand. And while those aren't Americans, they're still human beings. And how many people have to die for you to wake up? How many people have to be exposed to socialism before you wake up? And yet that is still necessary because, I mean, literally, New York's second option was the guy, Cuomo, who killed grandma and grandpa in The Greatest Generation in the nursing homes. But one of those guys, Walls, just ran for vice president with Kamala. So are we winning if these people are still running the state, still running cities, still running for office? Well, if I believed that justice was not going to come for those people, I would stop fighting to expose them. Because why would I spend time exposing them if no justice is going to come to them anyway? But here's the thing. There's a lot of socialism in New York City already. It's New York, Q told us, watch California, watch New York. Look at California. Look at Newsom. Look at Karen Bass. She was a member of a socialist organization. She went to Cuba, met with Castro. Okay. What they did to the Pacific Palisades and Topanga and Santa Monica with those fires, not having water in their reservoirs. Look at these people and what they're doing. How many people have to lose their homes to a fire? How many people have to lose their life to a forced vaccination? How many people have to lose their job to DEI? We're stepping into a place where the difference between common sense and insanity has never been more clear. And to me, that's a good thing. Yin and yang. There's a balance for every good. There's got to be a bad. That's the balance of the world we live in. And this imbalance in New York, in California. Remember, New York and California So goes New York and California, so goes the rest of the country. That's why they try out all these tyrannical experiments of lockdowns and masks and, and forcing you back into the nursing homes. And even though you're COVID positive and, your neighbor that you're going to eat next to is going to die because, they almost died the year before when they got a cold. Okay. Their immune system is shot. That bumped up the numbers for the emergency of COVID. Why wasn't that stopped? It was all part of the plan that we need to see exposed in order to bring about true revolution, not fake revolution, not oh, we're going to get, a Republican in this time, we're going to be okay. No. This is way beyond that. And I see it as my job to really focus on the bigger picture and not the little spats and fights and Republican versus Democrat and what did they vote on, what did they vote on, but to see the bigger picture and see how it's all unfolding. And I can tell you, the way I see it unfolding to me is very exciting. Like, wow. Finally, I think we're going to be taking down these people that have just done nothing but suck off society, suck our money, our interest, our taxes, our livelihood, our lives, working to the bone just to get by, inflation, the falling dollar. That's all being upended. It's all being upended as we speak. But we're just not there yet. God's delays are not God's denials. We will get there, but we can't do it without you in the huddle. We can't do it without you stepping onto the court and taking action that's going to make a difference in the lives of yourself, those around you, and humanity in general. So here we go, my friends. This is, I didn't plan on doing this long of a monologue, almost 50 minutes. But sometimes it just flows in a direction that I hope is beneficial to you. And I've never, tried to placate you or tell you, I got to fill in this news right away for the day because I'm a news guy. No, this is something that if it happens in the moment, I feel called to share it with you because I think it's important as we see the madness around us swirl around us. We must be the calm, not before the storm, but we must be the calm in the storm. Anybody can be the calm before the storm. It's when the shit starts swirling around and you see the old lady that took your dog riding by on a bicycle in the tornado. What do you do then? Okay. This is about us getting to a level of understanding and awareness so that we're not jerked around by the mainstream media, by the alternative media, by feuds and things that are happening. Take a deep breath, be calm, pull your emotions out of the situation and just try to see it for what it is. And is it helping you? Is it aiding you? Is it strengthening you? Or is it weakening you? And if it's weakening you, then you're allowing external forces to control your emotions and you are no longer in control. But to pull our emotions out, take a step back, look at it for what it is, and say, okay, I see that, I see that, I see that. I'm frustrated at that, or I don't like that, or whatever. Yes, but acknowledging what's happening and why it's happening is so important because most of the things that happen, the major events that happen, it happens because they know what it's going to do to you. They'll give you Facebook for free, knowing they're going to make between $35 and $45 a month off selling your information to the highest bidders. They'll give you the account because they're tracking you and listening to you and watching you, and they're able to give all that data to the AI that is now going to manipulate you. Why do they know that? Because they know that we have fallen beholden to free is good, even though it's not free. And we have also fallen to, yeah, I know they're listening to my conversations, but I don't care. Yeah, I know they might be watching me undress because I have a computer or a smart TV in my bedroom, or even having sex, but I don't care. We need to care. And we need to make decisions that no longer allow them to do that and no longer allow them to manipulate us in the way that they always have. And that's becoming harder and harder to avoid. That's why I created snedheads.com, so that you would have a social media platform that you're not censored off of, that you're not tracked with, and that you're not your information is not being sold to the highest bidder. And more is coming on that I will share with you. Let me quickly get to the chat. Good to see you, my friends. Thanks for being here. Mike, nothing is as it seems. That's absolutely true, because what they're projecting to us is not what is the reality of the situation. And that's what we constantly have to remember. Tracy, good to see you, my dear. Diana, that's what makes you a better teacher in this movement, Dave. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, stay steady, whip and spur. Yeah, good stuff. Keep your emotions in check. Absolutely. And by the way, I mean, if you talk to any, martial arts expert, MMA, whatever, you don't lose your cool, because if you lose your cool, you go here to the right brain or the fight or flight, and you're no longer like, okay, he just threw me a 1-2 combination. Normally he'll follow that with, a leg kick, or, and you're analyzing, looking for, for weakness, looking for fatigue, looking for leaving his leg open or what have you. You need to be able to think through that situation. And we, my friends, are in the fight of our lives. And we cannot be acting like a bunch of children. We cannot be allowing our emotions to rule us, our emotions to guide us, because that is what they have taken advantage of since the beginning of time. Use another's emotion against them. Use another's fear against them. Use another's, somebody who looks at you and may underestimate you. They want to be underestimated. They want us to think and say, these idiots, what the hell are they doing? They're so stupid. No. They're smart as hell. They're playing the game. They're winning the game. They've got, our Congress has, the best healthcare. They've got insider trading. They've got staff. They've got everything's paid for. Their food, their trips, everything is paid for. They're they've rigged the system for themselves, and now they're floating on down the river. Don't even need to paddle. So they're much smarter than we give them credit for, because they are listening to the people that are giving them the most money, and that's never been more obvious than it is now. Hey Dave, when are you getting a haircut, hippie? I don't know. I don't know. I like being a hippie. You know, hippies are fucking cool, man. It's like, what, you want me to fucking cut my hair and put on a monkey suit like these other, cunts out there that are lying to us every day? I'm not going to do that. But I appreciate it. I appreciate the concern over my coiffed look, or should I say uncoiffed look. All right, my friends. So, the decode, I haven't seen one thing that you've posted that makes sense. Feel free to, say something that actually, brings something to the table. Walk in the spirit, not the flesh, and you will learn to control your emotions. Emotions don't live by them. Exactly. Thank you, Jablo. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Believe me, I'm not trying to look good for the dudes. Okay. So not that kind of guy. And my guess is, William, I'm guessing you're not my type. So God love you. So at any rate, so this is, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, you knew me when I used to cut my hair. Yep. Yep. So my friends, some pretty interesting things going down. I wanted to share with you a little bit of the backstory. Cheers, everybody. The backstory of the Crossfire Hurricane and the Kleinsmith, sentencing and all that, to tie it to Boasberg, and his illegality. And again, all that is going to be exposed because the judges are being exposed every step of the way, right? So, yeah, if the next words out of Decode's keyboard aren't comprehensive, just we're going to have to say goodbye. Otherwise, you're fucking up the chat. So let's see. Let me take you to a few things of the day. I didn't know if you saw this, but this was 2 days ago, and I did not see this until today. 17 rabbis arrested for running a crime ring harvesting organs from living people to sell. One rabbi sold kidneys for over a decade.
These were arrests on a massive scale. Amongst those taken into custody by the FBI were city mayors, politicians and religious leaders. The authorities needed buses to cope with the sheer scale of the operation.
New Jersey's corruption problem is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. Corruption is not only pervasive, it has become ingrained in New Jersey's political culture.
It's thought that religious charities controlled by prominent rabbis were used to launder cash. The arrests were part of a 10-year operation that uncovered money laundering on an international scale, as well as corruption and the sale of human organs in the US, Switzerland and Israel.
The list of people we arrested sounds like it should be the roster for a meeting of community leaders. But sadly, they weren't meeting in a boardroom this morning. They were in the FBI booking room.
Prosecutors say one rabbi was dealing in human kidneys for transplant for a decade. buying them from vulnerable people at a huge profit. The scale of the corruption across New Jersey has outraged residents.
It just goes back to the belief that Hudson County is incredibly corrupt. And I thought we were making headway and becoming less corrupt.
The number of arrests was remarkable even for New Jersey, where more than 130 public officials have pleaded guilty or been convicted of corruption in the last 10 years.
This is Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, FBI. This is Pam Bondi, DOJ. It's not Comey, McCabe, Stroke, Page, Kleinsmith, weaponized FBI. This is going after real criminals, even if they're Jewish, by the way. Okay, something to, take note of, right? It's amazing to me, the corruption that we're experiencing and the level of sheer tomfoolery that is going on. Worse than tomfoolery. I'm thinking from a political standpoint, the tomfoolery that exists back and forth and the nonsense. But that's some serious shit. And that, my friends, is the tip of the iceberg. Remember when Trump was pushed on Q by that CIA asset, can't even remember her name, Operation Mockingbird, shill. On Q, he said, well, I know they're against pedophilia, and that's a good thing, isn't it? Yeah. That's part of what Q is all about. Okay. And that's what we're seeing, is what Q told us was going to go down. Let me take you to Mike Johnson, just talking about this shutdown. And again, folks, if I was writing the White Hat script, I couldn't do it any better.
The obviously false claim number 4 this morning is that Republicans are responsible for all this pain. It's just a nonsensical statement. It's a nonsensical statement because the fact is very clear. This is about math. Republicans need at least 7 Democrats to join us. We only have 53 Republicans in the Senate. It takes 60 votes to reopen the government in the Senate. The House did its job September 19th. We're waiting on the Senate to get this done. Leader John Thune and the Republicans have bent over backwards. They've done everything they can. You saw his frustration and his anger boil up on the floor at the end of last week. A normally calm, pretty steady leader, very steady leader. We're all angry about this because we're sick of what they're doing. They're using the American people as pawns, as leverage, and that is the word that so many of them have used. We could name senator after senator, House member after House member, from the leadership ranks all the way down to rank and file on the Democrat side. They have admitted openly they're using the American people as leverage in this political game. They're motivated out of fear. They want to show a fight to the radical left so they don't lose their political seats, and they're willing to make the American people suffer for it. That is the fact. This is about math. Republicans have to have at least 7 Democrats. We need 5 more moderate, centrist, common sense people who care more about the constituents they serve and the country that they supposedly serve than their own political futures and the retribution they'll receive from the Marxist, Mandami, communist left in the party if they do the right thing here. I wish these weren't the facts. I take no pleasure in telling you this. It is disgusting to us. But there's no other way to candy coat this, to make it any prettier than it is.
Yeah. And let's go to Tuberville.
The Democrats have voted 13 times to shut their government down, 13 times not to pay our veterans, not to pay our troops, and to cut SNAP cards. I mean, this is the Democrats. And so we're going to have to probably, Larry, to the end of the day, if they continue to just say, listen, this is all about politics, we don't care about the American people, we're not going to pass anything, we're going to have to bust a filibuster. That's what's going to have to happen. And I hate to say that. I'm not one to do that. But at the end of the day, if we ever lose the Senate, they're going to do it anyway. The Democrats have voted 13 times to shut the.
So I didn't know if you knew this about Mike Johnson, but I want to share this with you as well.
The third most powerful man in America lives in a $3,000 a month house. Yeah, you heard that right. His name is Mike Johnson. He did 3 things that'll earn him the respect of Americans forever. 1, he donated his entire $223,000 salary. Mike gave away 100% of his $223,500 salary. He also turned down his $250,000 speaker bonus and gave it all to flood victims. He only keeps $10,000 a year for basic needs. The rest goes straight into housing programs for homeless veterans. So far, he's paid over $500,000 in rent for 70-plus vets. 2, he runs the cheapest office in D.C. He cut $1 million from his office budget, flies economy, sleeps in $60 motels, and when he saved $80,000 in expenses, he gave it all to a local food bank. 3, his whole family lives to give. His wife turned their garage into a free cancer counseling center. On holidays, the whole family volunteers at shelters. And their kids, they've been sent to disaster zones to help with rebuilding efforts. No cameras, no press, just heart. Real power isn't about fancy titles or private jets. It's about using every dollar to help someone else. Think Mike Johnson deserves some love? Comment Mike to show your respect.
Pretty badass. I didn't know some of that about
the third
Johnson,
most powerful,
and I think that's fantastic. Shifting to New York City, Mondami was on the ballot 2 out of the first 4 names across the ballot. Obviously in, I believe that's Chinese, which is crazy to me. If you can't speak the language, why are we having these people vote in our elections? It just doesn't make sense to me at all. And so, this is what's going on. And here, some people, this is from Script Keeper, shared this. Here's an interview of some young
asking New Yorkers who are they going to vote for in the upcoming mayor elections.
Zoran.
Yeah, Mamdani, all the way.
So what are your thoughts about socialism?
Fire.
It's better than being poor all the time.
What about the rich people?
They don't need to be that rich, you know? If you work hard, you should be that rich, but not rich to the point where other people can't afford food.
So tax the rich.
Period.
So it's better to be rich than give donations to the poor and support them?
All Zoran wants to do is tax people who make over $1 million 2% more than they get now. That doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah.
The beginning is 2%, then it goes up 20 to 40%.
If you're making $1 million a year, that's better than if you're making $50,000 a year. Other people should be able to afford food. That's all I'm saying, man.
If you had $2 million, would you be okay tax 50%?
Yes, $1 million a year is plenty for one person to live on.
If it means that other people get to eat fucking food, then yeah.
That's our youth in America, my friends. That's the scary truth about the youth in America. They're quite literally socialist, but unfortunately, they haven't been taught that socialism leads to communism, and which leads to genocide of the population and a lot of very negative things along the way, to say the least. I want to go to Scott Bessent talking about the President Trump and the Supreme Court decision that is coming tomorrow regarding his ability to add tariffs. And what I was saying earlier, and I lost that train of thought, but of the wars that Trump has stopped, he's done it by using capitalism, by using tariffs, by going to the thing that he knows that these leaders are the most interested in, and that is the almighty dollar, without question. And Trump knows that, and he is well aware of that. Here's Bissett.
I think it's a matter of national security, and this is one of the president's signature policies, and it'd be very unusual for the Supreme Court to overrule president's signature policy. Supreme Court gave President Obama a lot of room on Obamacare, and President Trump's two signature policies have been securing the border, which has been a incredible success, and it has been the tariff policy rebalancing U.S. trade, and it's economic security. And we've had three emergencies here. First emergency has been the fentanyl crisis, and President was able to use IEPA to bring the Chinese to the table on the precursor chemicals. Second emergency was, I think we were at a tipping point in terms of our trade deficits. We are bringing those down. The deficit with China is down 25%. We could have had a looming financial crisis. And then number three, the president, after the Chinese said that they were going to put export controls on rare earth minerals for the globe on October 8th, President was able to use his IEPA emergency powers to threaten 100% tariffs, bring the Chinese to the table in Kuala Lumpur and Korea, and get the rare earths to flow. And if that hadn't happened, that manufacturing facilities, not only in the U.S., but around the world, would shut down. So, this is an emergency power that he has used during emergencies.
This is, we're going to find out what the Supreme Court has to say tomorrow and whether or not they're going to back President Trump or not. Now, they already backed his decision to deport 300,000 Venezuelans. So the Supreme Court sided with him on that. And that was a very big deal. That just happened yesterday, I believe. And so we're going to see what they come up with tomorrow. But if they overturn that, wow, we're gonna realize how important it is to allow the executive branch alone when it's making decisions in, like Bissett said, national security. That's what this is all about. National.
I think it's a matter of.
I was here for this, as you know, J6. Kirill Dmitriev, the Russian cabinet member of Putin, who has been dropping Q drops. I was here, I was listening to this speech, and I saw all these mainstream media that were trying to bastardize President Trump, and this is just one of those examples.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
So he just called out the BBC just today. Give me one sec. And he called out the BBC, and BBC also, supported pedophilia with Jimmy Savile for many, many years. By the way, my friends, fantastic artwork by Spiritual Street Fighter tonight for tonight's thumbnail. Thank you, Spiritual Street Fighter, for this. And the title of this is "Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming." You've got the White Rabbit with the TikTok and President Trump, and I kind of see this as kind of cue behind the scenes with Trump out front on this side of the fence. So I really, really like this, and so was excited to use it tonight for the show. So thank you to her for that beautiful artwork and for allowing the Sneds to enjoy that artwork almost every night. Nothing can stop what is coming, my friends, because everything that we're seeing is showing us, is leading us in the direction of accountability and justice. And I don't see it any other way, because we are awake now, and we are able to see the things that are happening very, very clearly. I want to take you to President Trump's post about the Supreme Court. And his post was at 4:59 p.m. Tomorrow's United States Supreme Court case is literally life or death for our country. With a victory, we have tremendous but fair financial and national security. Without it, we are virtually defenseless against other countries who have, for years, taken advantage of us. Our stock market is consistently hitting record highs, and our country has never been more respected than it is right now. A big part of this is the economic security created by tariffs and the deals that we have negotiated because of them. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. So if you go into the Snedheads and you click on Research Q Drops, and you go to capital letter counter, and you put in the capital letters, which are 36, and think mirror. And we also go to 459. So we go to 63 and also 459. Let's see if President Trump was sending us any other message despite what we just saw. Let's go to 459, the timestamp first. December 25th, 2017, 10 to 9, operational window, 5 to 6, F Delta C 2526. A lot of code that is not understandable. Secured, floor is yours. Twitter, FW, Twitter, kill rogue, confirm, white. I have said to you that as early as 2017, the White Hats had some control over Twitter because of the purge in Saudi Arabia, which led to Prince Al-Walid being hung by his ankles, and they took away all of his assets and his stock. And he was one of the major shareholders and operators of Twitter. And I've shown you two tweets, one by Donald Trump that was retweeted, and the way that the tweet changed showed that they had code level access, and also a Melania post from 2013. I think it was a giraffe that was turned into an elephant or something. I forget the details on these. It's been a long time since I've talked about them. But you can only change a picture on Twitter. You can either delete something, but you can't edit a picture unless you have the source code of Twitter. And those were signs to me that they had control over Twitter. And when Elon came in, I told you that the White Hats brought Elon in to do exactly what he did, which was to make X one of the primary, if not the primary, mechanisms for overturning the deep state, Operation Mockingbird mechanism. We go to 36, which was the capital letter count. Military intelligence, no media, no leaks. That's been very, very important, because in talking about Comey, part of the problem was he was aware of the leaks that were happening out of his office, and he said he was not. How many military generals have been in and out of the White House in the past 30 days? Focus on Flynn, background and potential role. What is the common denominator in terms of military backgrounds close to POTUS? That would be Marines. Why did Soros transfer the bulk of his public funds to an NPO, nonprofit organization? Why is this relevant? Well, it was because of the 13818 executive order by President Trump that says anybody found guilty of crimes against humanity, we would seize their assets. Soros, just by those actions, Eric Schmidt, just by his actions of leaving Google the day after that executive order was passed. These are all very clearly, Gates even did it. Who owes a lot to very bad actors? How can she repay as payment was made under promise of victory? That was Hillary, obviously. What cash payments occurred by Barack Obama during his last 90 of his presidency to foreign states and organizations? See, this may seem redundant to you. This may seem like we've been here many times before, but there's a reason why we've been here many times before, and that is because of the downfall of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, which will occur. We don't know when, but based on everything that we know and everybody that's awake and the players, Brennan, Comey, that are beginning to fall, it's only going to go up the ladder. Okay. You saw Kleinsmith, all those other numbers below. What slush fund did AG Sessions through DOJ put an end to? This was a part of the beginning of the control over the deep state funding mechanisms. How does Soros, Obama, Clinton, Holder, Lynch? I mentioned the tarmac meeting and how significant that was in this whole thing with 11-3 with Kleinsmith. Holder and Lynch, et cetera, all net many millions of dollars normally within a single tax year, because they're all corrupt as the day is long. What was negotiated on the tarmac between Bill Clinton and Lynch? Folks, I did not go to this earlier tonight. When I was talking about that event, I was talking about that event because of the significance of Comey, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, Kevin Kleinsmith, that were all not only involved in the Russian collusion, the crossfire hurricane to spy on a sitting president and a sitting presidential candidate, but also responsible for the email, Hillary Clinton email, and they all worked together on this. So what was negotiated was she was going to get a Supreme Court seat. Also, what did President Trump say in his Truth social post? Tomorrow's United States Supreme Court case is literally life or death for our country. He's bringing awareness to the United States Supreme Court. What other bad actors are involved with the Supreme Court? If this, what we just experienced with this Q drop, how do these top level people, how do they make all this money? What was negotiated? What current sitting positions were negotiated in a similar way? And they did it because they looked the other way on certain things. Remember, it was expected HRC was going to win during this time period. So Lynch thought that Hillary was going to win and make her Supreme Court justice. What if the Wizards and Warlocks tipped off a local reporter? Folks, I didn't even look at this earlier. I can't believe that I had that conversation with you, and now here we are. And by the way, this is very, very much the common theme with my shows over the years, where the things I'll talk about in the monologue end up, showing up during the dives during the show. It's pretty uncanny. And for those of you who have experienced it, please chime in as to your experience with that same thing. What if they tipped off a local reporter as to the supposed unscheduled stop? What if the NSA, under the personal direction from Admiral Rogers, had this meeting miscategorized and logged under a false identity to prevent bad actors from locating, while also verifying to said players all was clear, no logs? What really happened when the Wizards and Warlocks revealed what they had? Comey was forced to reopen the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails that he had already closed. Right before the election, no doubt, which would cast suspicion on Hillary Clinton and could have been the deciding event that kept her out of office. These are crumbs, and you cannot imagine the full and complete picture. If Trump failed, if we failed, and HRC assumed control, we as patriots were prepared to do the unthinkable. This was leaked internally. And kept the delegate recount scam, which Barack Obama was going to do, and declaring fraud. They had Barack Obama over the fucking barrel in 2017. So why hasn't he been arrested? Because look at everything that has come out since. This isn't something that we just need to change a president and everything's going to be fine. This is so deeply entrenched that it has to be like taken out by the roots. And the American population, and if any war that we've gone into is any indication, every single one we've got into, the U.S. population supported, because they created an event before we got into the war in order to get Americans buy-in. Why? Because they know that we are emotional creatures, and that they know that they can manipulate our reactions, which is why I opened the monologue tonight talking about that, because this is how they control you. Dig deeper. Missing critical points to paint the full picture. There is simply no other way than to use the military. This is one of the 3 times that using no other way than the military. Okay. The other 2 was 26, which was a Delta very shortly, just a few days ago, November 1st, 2017. Think about it logically. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread once 11.3 verifies as first marker. And again, we were told 11.3 could be Kevin Kleinsmith, 11.3 could be a date, 11.3 could be law of war manual that states foreign occupation. Biggest advanced drop on post online. This one right there. What is President Trump doing with the military? And by the way, this 26 post was reposted one other time. I'm forgetting the number on that. But it was reposted one other time. So what is President Trump doing with the military right now? Certainly he brought them into DC. Certainly, he brought them into Memphis. He's brought them into Los Angeles. Okay. Now, what is happening right now? Okay. We've heard about the 4 carriers in the Pacific, right? Western Pacific slightly above normal from normal, ships in the region. Aircraft carriers at sea, 3: George Washington, Nimitz, and Vinson. Normal, there's only 1.5 to 2, so there's plus 50% carriers in the Western Pacific. Amphibious assault ships, 2, DDGs, CGs, and 7th Fleet, 8 to 10, normally 7 to 9. LCs 4 deployed, 1 to 2, normal 2 now, slightly high. The Caribbean, so not only in the cities, but in certain areas of the world, Caribbean, way above normal, okay? Much more than what is needed for combating drug trafficking, by the way. Is it a show of force to Maduro? Aircraft carriers, the USS Gerald Ford has been called. There have been 0 since 1994. This is unprecedented to have an aircraft carrier off the coast of Venezuela. Amphibious ready groups, there's 3 times normal. Destroyers, cruisers, 3 to 5 times normal. Combat ships, high. Attack submarine, 1 confirmed, Newport News, unusual. USCG cutters, 3+ high endurance, normal. Bottom line, this is the largest U.S. naval deployment to the Caribbean in 30+ years. No carrier has operated here since the 1994 Haiti crisis, okay, which Haiti is going to come back into the news via Hillary Clinton, the child trafficking, and the sheer embezzlement of billions of dollars in funds that was to go towards the rebuilding of Haiti that never happened by the Clinton Foundation. This, and as Q told us, crimes against children will unite all humanity, cross-party lines. Okay. Ford, CSG, and full MEU, I'm not sure what MEU is, but 12,000 personnel, 90+ aircraft, 100+ missiles, overkill for drug boats. Okay. So we are at this post that President Trump just took us to tonight, speaking about the only way forward is the military. Okay. No other way than to use the military. It's that corrupt and dirty. Please be safe and pray for those in harm's way as they continually protect and serve our great country. That's 36. That was a Delta 2 days ago, by the way. 63 was also a Delta from 2 days ago. Think mirror. To those watching, you know who you are. This is a message to these deep state players. You have a choice to make. You can stand up and do what you know to be right, or you can suffer the consequences of your previous actions. Make no mistake, you were on the losing side. The choice is yours. If you decide to take down posts online in the net, we will be ready. Code, and then Alice in Wonderland. This was November 2nd. Dick Cheney dies on November 3rd. Did he make a choice? Okay. Stand up and do what you know to be right, which means kill me, I'll die, or suffer the consequences of previous actions. But make no mistake, Dick Cheney, you are on the losing side. You know, you can say Cheney died of natural causes or the heart condition, which I don't know what that condition is, not having one, maybe. But this is the reality of what we're witnessing. And we are witnessing this at a very, very interesting time when Brennan, Comey, these deep state players, he can see that they're going down without question. He's seeing that happening. And that's something that we must think about, because he knows what they did. He knows how guilty they are. Okay. I want to play Harrison Smith for you, because Harrison Smith is on InfoWars, but he is very much has a very good take on Israel, and which is interesting, right? Because Q told us, hey, buddy, Q told us that Alex was Mossad and Free Speech Systems was Mossad. But I'm finding it fewer and far between the people like Ian Carroll, Candace Owens, Ryan Matta, that are still challenging the Kirk narrative, challenge Israel to, in every manner. But they're not Q, so they don't see Trump actually taking out Israel nice and slowly, a little bit more slower than we would all like. But sure enough, he took out the mainstream media. That's Israel. That's their control. That's the CIA. That's Mossad. That's Israel. That's Operation Mockingbird. And he's taken out the central banks, and that's Rothschilds. Those are the two biggest tools, in my opinion, that they use to control humanity.
Like everything I'm reading, and it's like, if you have a problem with any of that, you hate Jews and you are a Nazi. It's like, what? Wait, I don't like my politicians not knowing which country they love more. I don't like being censored for pointing out things that are true. I don't like a foreign country dictating censorship terms and destroying the First Amendment in my country. I don't like being surveilled by drones run out of Israel. I don't like America or Germany's cybersecurity in the hands of Israel. I don't like the sycophantic dedication that American politicians have to Israel when Israel seems ready and willing to pivot to China the moment they don't get what they want from us. Why would we be okay with any of this? And why would opposing this have any bearing on how we feel about Jewish individuals? It's a ridiculous lie. Anti-Semitism doesn't exist, isn't a real thing. And their outrage and their panic right now is revealing that our peaceful revelation of the scams is having a massive and powerful effect.
You all see that? Yeah. This is, it's very clear to me, and I know it's very clear to many of you that we are watching this,
like everything I'm reading,
absolutely dismantling of the Israel can do no wrong machine. And this is Dr. Simon Godek. And again, I don't think this guy is a Trump guy because of the Israel thing, but they're not Q. Folks, find yourself an Anon. Cozy up next to an Anon. I've said this many, many times. No one else is seeing the big picture here. And the reason why I say this is because I know how important it is to see the big picture. And if people don't have Q, it's like playing a video game without quarters. I'm sorry. It's like, like a arcade game. All right. You got to put the time in, you got to put the energy into the game to get something back out of it. You can't just report what you see on the surface. You got to actually play the game. You have to engage in the game. And Q has allowed us to do that. Over the past few weeks, they've been flying influencers into Israel en masse for what's clearly a massive PR campaign. You don't launch a global influencer blitz unless you're desperate to control the narrative. And ironically, the more they fly people in, the more people are waking up. It's literally backfiring. At this point, I see anyone who went on a paid government trip to Israel as a walking red flag. If you need that much PR to cover what you're doing, maybe the real issue isn't public perception, but what you're actually doing. This was Laura Loomer, landed in Israel after an 11-hour flight. And I can tell you the spirit of the Israeli people will never be broken, no matter how much hate they receive from the world. It's not hate, Laura. It's not anti-Semitism, Laura. It's holding people accountable for their actions and challenging the actions of a government, okay, and challenging the Israeli government is no more anti-Semitic than challenging the U.S. government is anti-American. So we're not going to play these games. We're not going to get caught up into this emotional, tennis match that you're playing. And here's this young lady who, hey, what's on display here? Okay. And she was taken there too. That was Zoe Kwame Booth heading to Israel for the first time on Friday. And the question is, will it work on the people that they're trying to fool? And what they're finding is that an awake population and what they're doing. So I want to show you this thing on Tucker and DaveSned, and I want to talk about it briefly because I think it's very important. This was shared by Shadow of Ezra. By the way, folks, please, if you'd like to support my work here, you please do it in the following manner. This is again about directing our energy and towards the people that we trust, towards the people that we want to support and grow, so that more people have access to this information versus Levin, Shapiro, Loomer, all these, Tatum, all these people that are bowing to, the Israel money that they have, prostituted themselves out for. We gotta shift that. We gotta send our energy. We gotta send our prayers. We gotta send our money in the direction of those that need to be lifted up. And so I ask for your support in that manner to get this message out even more, to strengthen this show, strengthen my voice. And because the only money I'm getting is from you and no special interests, which makes it a hell of a lot harder. And they know it. See, here's the thing. They know that 97% of people that watch a show on social media do not contribute to that show. So what do? They contribute to shows. And they form the opinion of those shows and those people. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now. Yeah, it's sad, but it's true. And I'm also dropping in the comments a path. Let's see. Tip your waiter, please, my friends. Okay. Listen, get rid of decode, please. This is ridiculous. There's nothing of value here, and it has nothing to do with the things I'm talking about. And yeah. Yeah. And you're saying shit like this. Have a mind of your own. You're a boring mind hive. Why is he still here? Can you tell me that, Moonbeam or Pete? Are you on this? Get this fucker out of here. I've got no time for morons like this who hasn't said a damn thing of value the whole evening. He's still here, and he's discrediting me and my audience when I can run fucking laps around this moron. Why am I upset? Because you're a fucking moron. That's why. And because you're speaking down to my audience. That's why. Always on YouTube. That's why. My mistake, folks. You might have been trying to tell me that, Moonbeam. My apologies. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Okay, I'll take care of it. Decode, do you want to say anything of value before I kick you out of here? Because you haven't done that yet. Yeah, I can, dude. You haven't proved me wrong once. But hey, best of luck to you. Best of luck to you. But goodbye. There we go. That is my mistake because I don't have them as mods. So my mistake. You guys are normally crushing it. Like, you take care of those people. So yes, you're welcome. So I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And if you ever want to come back and be respectful, you can find me on X at DaveSned. So Teresa says, that's why I left YouTube. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. That's completely my fault. That's completely my fault. All right. So at any rate, so they know this and they use this to their advantage. And that is why, Daily Wire fucking Ben Shapiro is able to give Turning Point $1 million without even, thinking about it. That came from Israel. It all comes from Israel. And they wouldn't take it from Netanyahu, and they couldn't let that optic show up because Charlie had not taken it from Netanyahu, and so they couldn't allow that to be money from Netanyahu. This is Tucker on Dave Smith.
But I just want to say at the outset, because this has been weighing on me, I did say something that I really regret saying that I didn't fully mean. I said it because I was mad, which is always when I say I don't really mean. When I get pissed, my wife's always telling me this. I was snippy and I didn't explain it. And I said something to the effect of, I despise Christian Zionists. And I'm just sorry that I said that, because I don't. I'm mad at a certain kind of thinking. Some of the nicest people I know are Christian Zionists, actually. If you're in a car crash, they would save you. If you needed someone to watch your bank account, they wouldn't steal from you. They're like really good people and sweet people. I want to be very specific quickly about what I was talking about. In at least a couple of different occasions, the Israeli government bombed churches in Gaza and killed a bunch of Christians. And not an accident, of course. I mean, this is like a very high-tech military with precision. I mean, they, gave pagers with bombs in them to Hezbollah. So like this is a military, a national defense institution that understands what it's doing. They didn't accidentally bomb 2 churches and kill these Christians, and they never apologized for it. And so I brought this up with a couple of Christian leaders, and including the Speaker of the House, and said, like, what is, how could, what, we're paying to bomb churches? Because we're paying for it. And the response I got from every single one was, the Bible commands us to support Israel. And I said, so Jesus is telling us that we need to get on board with murdering Christians? Is that what you're saying? And they basically were just like, shut up. And I found that extremely, as a Christian, extremely upsetting. And I've never kind of gotten over that, but I should have said that. That's what I was talking about specifically. We cannot support the murder of innocents. I don't care what the pretext is. That is not allowed in our religion. And if it is, then it's not my religion. That's not what the New Testament says at all. It's not even a close approximation of what it says. There's no justification for that in the New Testament, period. So I am distressed. I don't hate. I shouldn't have said despise, but I'm very distressed about that. And that's specifically what I was talking about. So I just want to apologize sincerely for not being clearer.
So he doesn't double down on what he said about the Christian Zionists, but he makes it clear that they're not the worst people in the world, but this is why I have a problem with them. And so I thought it was, very, very well said, but at the same time, he's taking a lot of heat, and he's got to kind of backpedal a little bit on some of these topics, obviously. My mistake, my friends, because I haven't modded in YouTube in a long time, and so the thing about I thought I removed him. It just removed the comment, so I had to take care of that. So, yeah. Dave, the hair plugs and dye are looking good. Oh, thank you. Thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. Yeah, interesting. Okay, that's an interesting comment. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. I'm really somebody that, is really overly concerned with my appearance. You can tell, right? You can tell by the way I fix myself up every night before the show. So at any rate, so I wanted to share that with you. I want to let me see. President Trump is doubling down on the filibuster. He also mentioned that the 60 Minutes interview on CBS Sunday night was the highest rated 60 Minutes in years. I have not seen that yet. Did any of you see it? And what are your thoughts on it? And I want to go to, and I want to see your comments here real quick. Okay, so President Trump, in his last post 26 minutes ago, was at 10:41 or 1:41 as we drop the zero, and also 78 capital letters. So let's first go to the timestamp 1:41 from this post. Rogue operators are here, failed to shut down site, protected. This will only get worse. Archive and coordinate. Crumbs dropped will soon paint the full picture. Again, paint the full picture. The picture will open the eyes of the world. This is what I'm talking about, painting the full picture. If they're not an anon, if they haven't been doing countless thousands, think about it, folks. If thousands of hours on Q. If there were PhDs for Q and the relationship with the events that have transpired over the past 8 years, my friends, I would have like 10 of them, 10 degrees, 10 PhDs. I mean, it's just insane the amount of time I've spent on this, and I would not have spent this time if I was not shown every step of the way that there is real communication, real events taking place that have been foretold, and real actions that are taking place that are slowly but surely dissolving the mechanisms of our slavery. The picture will open the eyes of the world. What did I tell you tonight? We are in the huddle. What does Q say? We can't do it without you. Military, the only way forward is military, 3 times in the drops, 1 repeated. Transparency, accountability, justice, 20 times. We, you and I, are the transparency, are the accountability, holding people accountable for the things that they've done. Cuomo runs for mayor of New York. What's everybody talking about? You killed my grandma. You killed my grandpa. You killed my father, my mother. You're a son of a bitch. You're a sick son of a bitch. If he was out of the public spotlight, we wouldn't be still talking about him in the way that we are. God bless you all. They need us to expose these people. Let's go to the capital letter count, 78. Repost lost. Disinformation is real. Distractions are necessary. Saudi Arabia is the primary. That already went down. U.S. is secondary. That's why we're seeing so much focus on the United States. Then Asia, then the EU. Alice in Wonderland. The rabbit hole. Saudi Arabia. Hillary Clinton. Repost lost. What was POTUS's last tweet prior to? To who was it addressed? When was POTUS's Twitter taken down? This goes back to J6. He called out the BBC today in a press conference, calling them a joke. And people started posting what BBC did to make it look like President Trump called on violence against Congress, when in actuality, and I was there, we're going to celebrate Congress and we're going to protest peacefully, et cetera, et cetera. And we have to fight for our right to, those were separate events. I showed you that tonight. To who was it addressed? It was to the patriots. It was to you and I. When was POTUS's Twitter taken down? Why is this relevant? 2 days later. Why is this relevant? Well, the way it's relevant was because, and again, they asked, what was POTUS's last tweet? Who was it addressed to specifically? When was POTUS's Twitter taken down? Has this ever happened before? Why now? Coincidence? Okay. How many times did the attack occur? Secondary cleanup. What is the purpose of tracking? What is the purpose of disruption? Why did POTUS have military guards uniform while in Hawaii? Why is this relevant? Do military guards in uniform typically assist the U.S. Secret Service? No, they do not. Why is this relevant? What flying object was recently shot down? Why is this relevant? How precise is geo-tracking? Not non-public, sea-level pro. Why is this relevant? Alice in Wonderland. Now, this might seem kind of wild to you if you're new to Q, but what Q is telling us here is that Twitter didn't take down POTUS because of his words to you and I on J6 or what happened on J6. That was the white hats taking Trump off of Twitter because they used his tweets to geolocate him and attempt an assassination in the air against Air Force One off the coast of Washington State on his way back to the U.S. This was the first assassination attempt that we were made aware of. Q equals Alice. You'll soon understand the meaning behind Alice and Wonderland. Everything has meaning. God bless. So Q is not only Hillary, but Q is the supercomputer that resides in Saudi Arabia when they did the purge. This is why they treat Trump like a king. Think Mirror, go to 87. My signatures all reference upcoming events about to drop if this hasn't been caught on. Snow White, Godfather 3. Signatures are important. Also, double meanings exist. The robo signing of Biden, but also the signatures. Remember, DJT signed the drops before Q ever did. It was anonymous. DJT was first. Q came later. Sorry, I didn't know I still had that banner up. Thank you for those who have stepped up to support me, not just tonight, but other days, other times. Guys, please get on over to Snedheads. It's free to join. $17 a month if you want to support a new society, a new small town of social media. Decode would not be on there. He'd have to give his name, his phone number, and his face. Have no interest in having people like that interacting with them, sitting down, having a meal, going on social media, and having that guy spoil it. No interest. And it's not of like mind that we all think alike. It's of like mind that we all actually engage our mind in this complete show, this complete operation, this matrix that we are living through right now. So please join us over on snedheads.com. My friends, we're at 2:15. I'm going to shut things down tonight. I appreciate you joining me. So much going on. Might not have gotten to everything, but please keep your head on a swivel. Remain safe. And again, go ahead and join us over on Snedheads, and you'll see some great stuff over there. Moonbeam dropped IMF to the world. Buckle up. Why precious metals took a nosedive recently. The people were grown in incubators by Kathy Drexler. Final stages of global Trump White Hat operation is underway. Some really great posts, folks. Check them out. Some great stuff here. Some stuff on Cheney. You can do some research over here. You can see the my X feed over here. So please go on over, check it out. It's free to join. It's private, so any information you're given is just coming to me. I'm not marketing to you. I'm not incessantly. I'm not texting you. I'm not emailing you like crazy. This is your information is not being sold. You're not being tracked. It's pretty awesome. And we got 660 some people over there right now. Beautiful people, and it's growing day by day. And I thank you for being here. Look for my note tomorrow. I plan on definitely going to be on Thursday. Not sure about tomorrow night, but we'll see what happens during the day, especially with the Supreme Court decision. So please keep an lookout for my X post at Dave Snedeker or my post on Snedheads, where I'll let you know if I'm going live at 8 tomorrow night. All right, my friends, much love to you. Be well. Head on a swivel. Take care. Good night.